Hello, this is Romonica Jones, and I am the editor-in-chief of www.liveblessedblog.weebly. That's weebly.com. I am also the executive director at the Eclectic Counseling Services located on Elysian Fields in the greater New Orleans, Louisiana area. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is our second official media message, not only on our website, www.liveblessedblog.weebly.com, but it is also our second video message on our official YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us today. We are very glad and just delighted to have you. We want to jump right in and let you all know that the message is on commitment today. And the reason why it is so imperative that we all accrue the character of a committed person is because the enemy or the devil or the adversary, whatever that you reference him to be, he does not care how we miss out on our promises, how we miss out on the promised land, the blessings, the breakthrough, that ideal husband or wife that we have been looking for and dreaming for, that job opportunity, that entrepreneurship opportunity. He does not care how we miss out on our blessings or our healings or a better relationship with God or our children or our neighbors or our families or our friends. He does not care how we miss out on our peace or an opportunity. The only thing he cares is that we miss out. So he does not care if we suffer from low self-esteem and we do not see the potential, the diamonds and the jewel that God has placed in the inside of us, and therefore we're not able to get our breakthrough and blessing because we don't want to, exercise the gifts inside of us because maybe we suffer from low self-esteem and don't know that we have them. So that's another message that I would urge you all to listen to, that we have uploaded on our official YouTube channel as well as our website, www.liveblessedblog.weebly.com. Message on self-esteem. He also does not care if we're not disciplined, if we don't sharpen that tool or we don't try out for the opportunity or the position or the casting call, maybe because we decided to sleep in that morning and we don't practice and put the time and money and effort into sharpening our gifts. That's just another avenue that he used to stop us from getting to our promised place and our blessed place. Another avenue that he's also able to capitalize on is the fact that a lot of us do lack the character of commitment. And that is a walk that we have to learn. We have to get on that walk, and whatever, God has challenged us with in our lives to be committed to it, then we have to walk in that path of commitment so that we can gain the commitment that is needed so that we don't get so close to our breakthrough, so close to our promise, so close to our blessing and then walk away from it because we've given up right when the door was about to open for us. The enemy, would sit back and laugh and say, look how close that he or she got, and look at how, silly that they were to walk away from it. And so we don't want to be that person, not in a time like this where blessings and doors are opening up for us. If you have the faith to believe, and if you can activate that favor that God has given us, measures of as well. So we don't want discipline to get in the way. We don't want, self-esteem to get in the way. And we definitely do not want commitment to get in the way. I am going to let you know a little bit about me. I am a licensed counselor, and as I've stated before, was able to get my bachelor's degree at the University of New Orleans, my master's from the Nicholls State University, and I shared that information with you all just to give you a background on myself. I was able to get licensed through through hours accumulated in the judicial system and the court system. And I shared that information because, number one, I want you to feel safe and comfortable about who you're listening to on the internet. I know the internet, you have to be leery. You have to be careful what you allow yourself to hear and what you allow your kids to hear and your family to be exposed to. So that's just some educational background on myself. And I also do believe that, my spiritual walk with God, I have a degree in the School of Life. You know, so learning things, walking with God, you know, that's education. You learn something new every day just by, you know, having your ears and your eyes open to what thus says the Lord. Different things that, you know, that you might be even exposed to. You might see them differently as you mature, you gain wisdom, and you just learn how to do things different and learn how to do it even better than you did before. So I gave you all that information so that, number one, you can feel comfortable with who I am as a person and who you're listening to, and even on our website, who you're commenting with and providing feedback to. In addition, I gave you that information because I would love to share my testimony with you all, if you would allow me to, on how I was challenged in the area of commitment. A school that I was attending, I did have a director of the school who just completely had just misread me. You know, there was some misunderstanding with a certain class. I was unable to take the class at that time because of my work schedule, and you know, somehow he or she thought that there was a challenge with that, and this person began to just give me tongue lashes in class. You know, I mean, I was, you know, words like incompetent, you know, if my phone rang, I was verbally, basically, just mishandled, for lack of better words. And when other people's phone might ring, or they might, you know, take a second or two after the break to come back, nothing would be said. So there definitely was some double standards between myself and other students, and I was targeted a whole lot. You know, and there was times that, you know, I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit because it was a hard situation. And when we talk about this message on commitment today, we're talking about the hard commitment. You know, it's easy to commit when you're getting your needs met and everything is working out, and your friends are treating you the way you want to be treated, and your spouse is giving you the world, and you know, the world is your oyster. You know, the job is giving you awards and promotions and achievement certificates. It's easy to commit then, but we're going to talk about the hard spot commitments. And even in this situation with the school director that I was under, it was hard staying committed to that program when every day I was being, you know, referenced names such as, you know, belittling names and just harsh verbal lashings, and basically some people might even say emotional abuse. You know, and I had to sit there and stay composed because I was committed to my degree. I was committed to getting the educational background to be able to speak to you all, you know, from a place that I can reference some of that text that I learned and reviewed in school. And I was committed to my calling and my purpose and my destiny, and I was committed to what God had for me. And so, you know, there was times I would sit in class and I'd have my suit on coming from work, and you know, and I had to act like I had it all together. But when I would leave there, a lot of times from school, I would just break down crying and just hurt because this person had misread me, and you know, pretty much it almost seemed like stereotyped me a little bit to be someone that I completely was not. You know, and the way they were coming at me, it's like they were urging me to get out of character, but I just refused, because it does say if you resist the enemy, he will flee. So every day it was a battle to resist him. So I ended up speaking to an aunt, and ran into her at the grocery store, and I told her about the story, and she told me, she said, you know what, that sounds like spiritual warfare. She said, you need to pray. So what I decided to do is, every time my mind would be worried about this, I got to go to school tomorrow, I wonder what is he or she going to say, you know, what are they going to do, what is tomorrow going to look like, I would worry, you know, are they going to try to get me kicked out the program, which is, you know, might have been an agenda of theirs, or even by just having me to quit. You know, I would worry about it, and what the Holy Spirit led me to do was, every time I thought about it and wanted to worry, the Holy Spirit said, what I want you to do is to pray. I want you to pray for that person. So instead of worrying, the Holy Spirit wanted me to replace the worry with prayer. Because for a person to treat a human being like that, of course they needed prayer. So what I began to do is every time I would worry, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to worry. Let me stop that thought pattern, because worrying is not going to help me. And I changed it to praise. And I uplifted that person, and I asked that they be healed and that they be whole, and that God give them blessings in their life, and that God would just help them and just cultivate the gifts in them so that they can realize, maybe their character, or realize that they are even better than the example of a director that they were setting for me, that they were better than that example. So as I began to pray, a close friend of mine approached me, and she said, you know what, Monica? I used to be a teacher. And she said, I see how day in and day out, and this was not only just a friend of mine, but a fellow colleague, a fellow student that was sitting in that class. And she said, day in and day out, this man is just talking down on you, and you don't deserve it. He picks on you, he picks you out of the class, and he nitpicks with you. And she said, you know what? I'm going to file a report against him. She said, because this is hard for me to sit back and witness the way this man is treating you as a school director, and you don't deserve it. She said, as a fellow educator herself, it was hard for her to sit back and watch another teacher, another, student director, teacher, abuse their power against a student who was only just coming to class to be educated. And she wrote and filed a grievance against him on my behalf. And she met with the college dean, and she met with the director of graduate studies. And, she even met with him and met with his fellow professors, and she voiced, everything that he had said about me in that class, day in and day out. Everything that he had done, and just the injustice, and how fair as an educator, how hard it was for her to sit back and watch another student be emotionally and verbally abused just because this man was dealing with some lack and some voids in his life, and was misusing his authority, and was putting that negative energy in a place that was not required or was not deserving for it to be. And of course, light got brought on this situation, because I had decided in my heart that I was not going to fight fire with fire. I was not going to write him up. I was not going to, just bring any attention to it. I was just going to grunt down, pray my way through it, and let the Lord handle it. And I'm a witness that the Lord handled it. Oh, yes, He did. He handled it in a manner in which I didn't have to do anything but stay committed to my college education. So that is my testimony, and that is also why I shared my educational background. And of course, the school of life, whether you have a degree or not, it will teach you. Life can be a great teacher. It is a great teacher, but it can also be a hard teacher. But it does teach you the character. It builds the character in you that is needed to fulfill your purpose and get to your destiny and get to your calling. I'm going to slide right out of the way and let our audio message kick in, and that will be the next voice that you will be hearing. Please do be reminded that this message was recorded for our www.liveblessedblog.weebly.com. So it may not reference official YouTube channel audience, but just know that you all are definitely in our hearts. Thank you. We love you, and we hope that you are blessed. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Today is January the 12th, 2014, and I want to welcome each and every one of you all to our Live Blessed blog first media rendition. I also want to say thank you all for visiting our site. I want to say welcome home, because here we are family, where we do believe in uplifting uplifting and empowering, and our motto more than anything is keeping it all positive. So thank you all for joining us. Our first conversation topic is going to be on commitment. And a lot of times when we think of the word commitment, we think about relationships, and to some of us who are very loyal, who don't have a problem with committing to any one person, we pretty much say, we're in the clear. We're committed to our relationships. We're committed to our friendships. We're loyal people. We're committed to our careers. And we don't have a real issue with commitment. But what happens when things are not going well? What happens when you're a better friend than your friend is to you? Or what happens when you've been working at a job that you've been committed to for 10, 15 years? And let's say that they promote somebody else and they overlook you, your credentials, your criteria, and all the years that you've been committed. What happens when you're more committed to your mate than your mate is committed to your feelings, your needs, your wants, your desires, your wishes? Maybe you're more committed to fulfilling their desires than they are to fulfill your desires. So that is the type of commitment that we want to talk about, the rough spot commitments. When you have a friend who you're always there for them, and maybe they're not there for you, where do you go to relieve your feelings, your worries of the day? If you're fulfilling your mate needs, where do you go to get your needs fulfilled? If you're fulfilling all of the criteria and the responsibilities of your job, where do you go to get affirmed that you are a great worker? And where do your talents get displayed and expressed? Where do you get recognition for the work that you do? So that is where we're at as far as commitment. Maybe you have a friend who might not be as positive as you are. Or maybe you have a friend who is as positive as you are. How do the two balance out? Because someone always gets either the longer or the shorter end of the stick. What happens when you end up with the shorter end of the stick? Do you walk away? Do you justify it? Do you get upset and angry and blow a top? And we all know that that's what we want to do. We want to quit because, you know what, why should I stay friends with somebody who's not there for me? Why should I stay in a relationship where I'm giving a lot? Why should I stay at a job that overlooks all of my talents and achievements? Why? Do we look at the fact that with long suffering comes perseverance? Do we look at the fact at these type of moments that it is better to give than to receive? Where do we go and get our strength when all our strength has been used and we've given so much to other people who are not able to give back to us? First of all, if you're in a relationship that you're not 100% certain that this is the person that you're supposed to be with, if you decide to make that decision to leave, and if you have peace about it, and if that is your gut, no one would urge you to stay. But what happens when you know that this is the mate for you? When you know in your heart of hearts and it's been confirmed that this is the man or the woman that is called into your life at this time, at this season, and maybe even for the lifetime, where do you go to get your strength to hold on? I have found that a lot of us base our ability to commit to something, someone, or just any event. We base that commitment on ever-changing facts. We base our commitment on, what have you done for me lately? And if we've done 5 things for you, and we asked you to do 1 and you didn't do it, oops, there goes the friendship. If 2 of your anniversaries didn't go the way you planned, oops, maybe one person, might have even forgotten the anniversary in your relationship. Oops, there goes the relationship. Doesn't matter how called he or she is to be with you. It's because they did not meet that need. And therefore, because your commitment was based on them fulfilling that need, your commitment has been terminated. But how many of you know that events are temporary? How many of you know that maybe if we would have stayed for that 3rd anniversary, maybe that would have been the throwdown anniversary. Maybe we would have gotten a surprise party or a vacation getaway. And for the friend that we always do for, maybe this is their season of neediness. Maybe once they get out of this season, maybe they might look back and say, you know what, let me do something kind for my friend that has been there for me when I was not able to be there for her. We base our commitment on ever-changing events. But when you terminate that commitment based on those events, how many of us know that those same events can turn around? That same husband or wife can become the potential person that you've always seen them to be. That friendship can be tried, tested, and true. And that person can have your back and be your support and be your companion more than you ever envisioned. It is true that events change. So do not base your commitment on ever-changing events. So then the question is, well, what do I base my commitment on? If I can't base it on what they're doing for me, number 2, we have to realize that basing commitments on what people do for us, that actually is a form of selfishness. Because it's saying, I will only do for you as long as you do for me. Which is also saying, I will only do for you. I will do for you because you are doing for me. So in return, you're living by the give a little bit, receive a little bit. And if we were to base our lives on that, how many breakthrough blessings will we miss out on because we didn't wait long enough to receive in the season or the time in which the events were scheduled to change around for us? Famous people would not be famous if they lived on, I'm going to commit to this singing career only if it gives back to me. You have some singers who did not get paid for over 10 years, but they committed anyway. What about parenting? Parenting, the first years of a child's life, they're not able to walk, they're not able to talk, they're not able to do for themselves. So what if that mom said, I'm going to be this mother to this child as long as this child is given to me? Where would that leave any one of us? But you have a mother and a father who choose to give anyway. Give despite our taking. And what if the God of this universe said, I will only love my people when they love me? I'm reminded of the Bible verse, and I'm going to reference it and not quote it. But it says that we love God because He first loved us. He did not wait for us to love Him. He loved us first. Jesus, when He died on the cross, He did not wait for us to get saved, to find us worthy, to lay His life down for us. He laid His life down for us first. And what if God says, I've been investing in our lives, His people's lives for years and years, and what if He says after 10 years, if they're not perfect, if they're not righteous, if those issues that I talked to them about are not clarified and cleared up, then guess what? I'm going to wipe them all out and start a new nation and a new people. What if He did not put Noah in the ark and allow the human race to live on? What if He got so fed up with us where He wiped us out because we were not meeting His needs of obedience and of love and to follow His commandments? Where would we be if other people committed to us based on ever-changing events, which is the way we commit to them? Would we even be here? I was talking to a close friend not too long ago, and they were quite disappointed with some other events that took place. And basically, we decided to settle on the fact that sometimes your needs may not always get met by the people that you feel they should get met through. Sometimes your needs might have to get met with God. Sometimes you might have to place your need and fulfillment in joining different organizations, different events, making great use of your time. Sometimes your needs might have to get met by yourself. Maybe sitting and having coffee with yourself, writing in your diary, or, starting a new project, being able to express yourself. Maybe that's how your need will get met. But just because your need is not met in that special person, whether it be a relationship or a friendship or a family member, just because your need is not getting met there, that doesn't necessarily give you the right to give up on that relationship. Sometimes you have to wait for the right season to come around. And sometimes you have to do some soul searching to say, what is it in me that requires this great need from others? Is there a void that I'm placing on others and making it their responsibility to fill my void? And if I'm doing that, how fair is that for them? Because they too might have voids of their own that they thirst and yearn to be filled. In addition to that, our commitment should be based on things that are never changing. Meaning that if that's your friend of 5 years, then let that be your friend of another 5 years. You don't have to base your commitment on what they do for you or what they don't do. Base it on the title that you've given them. Base it on your commitment to them. If this is the job that you're committed to and you like doing what you're doing at your workplace, then base it on the fact that you are a great worker who is called and passionate to do the job that you're doing. So if you never get recognized, if you never get promoted, you are happy and satisfied just being able to do what you were called and created to do. And that is a never-changing event. If that's your child and you're going through a rough spot with your child, don't base your commitment to that child on what they're doing. Base it on the title that you've given them, and the title that is true. That is your child. That is your husband. That is your mate. That is your spouse. That title does not have to change based on ever-changing events. So base your commitment on things that does not change, as I'm sure God does for us. He called us His children. And as a result of that, we are His children when we do good, when we do bad, when we mess up, and all of the above. In closing remark, I want to bring just to closing the importance of understanding the personality and the character of a person who stays in a friendship or a relationship, in a career, a job, whether it's a neighborhood, whether it's an organization, despite the expectations that they've placed on those events to meet their needs. Sometimes we place so much emphasis on what other people do for us, and how they give to us, and how they care for us, and how they affirm us or acknowledge us, to where we place high expectations on them. And in turn, we have low expectations for ourselves. What type of character would you say God has that He's able to love people who don't always love Him? That He's able to look past our faults and still see our needs and love us and give us grace and mercy and allow His Son to die on the cross for us despite who we are at times. It says that He has the character of a God. Of God. He has a God-like character. So no wonder we call Him God. Because His ways are not our ways, His thoughts are not our thoughts, and His understanding is far greater than our understanding. So we as a people have to begin to become more God-like. We have to elevate our thinking to say that if I'm friends with someone who's not the greatest friend to me, it may not say much about their character, but look at what it says about my growth, my maturity, my willing to love despite the lack of love that I receive from them. Sometimes we have to place the emphasis and the expectations on ourselves to see, are we strong enough to love people who don't always love us? Are we strong enough to meet their needs and their desires and their wants, even despite them not meeting ours? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, where should the expectation be placed? Should it always be placed on other people? Or should we sometimes place those expectations on ourselves? Should we make the foundation of our commitment on ever-changing events? Or should we make the foundation of our commitment based on events that don't change? And in closing, as a third point, should we do unto others as we would have them to do unto us? Or should we set a precedent? Or in addition, can we also set a precedent to have a higher ability and a higher capacity to love people who don't love us? Because we must remember, what if God committed to us the way that we commit to other people? What if he washed his hands and said we didn't meet his needs and his desires? Where would we be? So as much as we want to judge others because of what they don't do for us and what they can't be for us, sometimes it takes us to look at ourselves, because we are not always all that we could be for God. And we are not always what we could be for others. So let's take those 3 points in closing. Once again, thank you for listening to our first media message. This is a message on commitment. Today is January the 12th, 2014. I am Editor-in-Chief Romonica Jones of Live Blessed Blog. Thank you, family, for joining us this afternoon. This was excellent. And we welcome you to our site, where we respond to others positively, believing, we believe in uplifting, and our motto is empowering. Welcome home. Thank you.
You heard it, you heard it, you heard it, you heard it. Nowhere else but on our official YouTube page, where today is actually Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So happy birthday as we celebrate him today. We have so many positive things on our website. We are featuring a Alicia Keys song for the year of 2014, Alicia Keys song. We have Elton John on the website. We have some positive articles. Derailed is one of my favorite articles. Farewell 2013 to the lessons that we've learned and that we would take with us. We also have this message on commitment. We have a message on self-esteem. We are even featuring the Bishop Thomas Dexter Jakes, T.D. Jakes. He is on there as well. We have a great singer, Miss Vicky, to one of the hit songs that is on the radio. She stopped by the website just to show us some love and to also show you all love as well. I thank you all for coming out today and even just sitting with us and listening with us. We value you so much. We value your comments. We value your feedback. So feel free to give it to us. We love you. We trust that you have been blessed. Live blessed, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Visit us at the site www.liveblessedblog.weebly.com. I am Romonica Jones, and I am your Editor-in-Chief to Live Blessed Blog, Executive Director to Eclectic Counseling Services. Thank you all and we welcome you to our official YouTube page, where we love, appreciate, motivate, uplift, believe in keeping it positive, and we love to inspire you. Thank you. Welcome home.